The restaurant went silent the moment a tiny voice asked, "Dad, can I share with them?" But no one expected what happened next, least of all the millionaire father, who had spent years hiding a truth even money couldn't fix. The weekend crowd filled the warm, softly lit restaurant, where families gathered over late lunches and quiet conversations. At the corner table, a girl of about 10 sat swinging her legs beneath her chair, her wide eyes absorbing every detail around her. Her father, well-dressed, confident, and known across the city for his wealth, sat across from her, checking messages on his phone with a familiar tension in his shoulders. He was a man admired by many, feared by some, and understood by almost no one. Not even his own daughter. Today was supposed to be their special day, something the girl often wished they had more of. But he was slipping back into his world of deadlines and business calls, and she could feel it. As she waited for the food to arrive, her attention drifted to the table beside them. There, she noticed a young mother seated with her two small boys, aged perhaps 5 and 7. Their clothes were clean but noticeably worn, their shoes slightly scuffed, and their mother's eyes carried the exhaustion of someone who hadn't slept peacefully in a long time. The boys had only one plate between them, carefully splitting the food, each taking the smallest portion possible. Their mother pretended she wasn't hungry, smiling at them every time they offered her a bite, but her eyes betrayed the truth. The girl watched closely, her heart tightening. She noticed how the mother gently wiped her younger son's mouth with the edge of her sleeve because she didn't have tissues. She noticed how she broke the last piece of bread into 2 perfect halves, giving everything to her children while she quietly sipped water. And the girl felt something she didn't have words for, something warmer than sympathy and sharper than sadness. Suddenly, she tugged at her father's sleeve. When he didn't respond, she tugged again, this time harder. He looked up, slightly irritated, until he saw her expression. Big eyes. Serious. Compassionate. "Dad," she whispered, leaning toward him. He lowered his phone. "Yes?" She pointed discreetly toward the other table and said the sentence that froze his world like a shock of cold water. "Dad, can I share with them?" He blinked, caught completely off guard. "Share, with who?" She nodded gently toward the single mother and her 2 boys. For a moment, he just stared, first at his daughter, then at the small struggling family beside them. Something about the scene felt haunting. Familiar, even. A memory stirred in him like a long-buried ache, but he pushed it away. "Sweetheart," he said softly, "they're strangers. You don't have to worry about them." But his daughter did not look away. Her voice trembled faintly. "Dad, but they look hungry. And she looks tired. Can we help? Please." Her plea sliced through the wall he had built around himself. People around them paused, subtly watching. The girl wasn't trying to make a scene, she just genuinely cared. And the innocence of her concern made something inside him shift. He cleared his throat, unsure how to answer. He didn't know when compassion had become complicated. He didn't know when he had become this distant, unreachable version of himself. Maybe it was the years of chasing more success, more status, more prestige, until he forgot what enough even meant. Before he could respond, the waiter arrived with their meals, 2 full plates, beautifully arranged, steaming, fragrant. The little girl's eyes flicked from their abundant food to the half-empty plate at the next table. She whispered again, this time with quiet conviction. "Dad. I want to share. Isn't kindness more important than rules?" Her words stunned him. Not because she was wrong, but because she was right. Too right. And for the first time in a very long time, he found himself listening not as a businessman, not as a millionaire, but as a father. He exhaled slowly. "Okay," he said at last, in a voice barely above a whisper. Her face lit up with a light he hadn't seen in years. And without knowing it, that single yes set events in motion that would change all their lives forever, including his own. The girl stood up shyly, picking up her plate with both hands. Her father followed behind her, unsure, nervous even, but something deeper was guiding him now. When they reached the neighboring table, the young mother looked up in surprise. "Hi, I noticed you didn't have much to eat," the girl said gently. "Would you like to share with me?" The mother's eyes widened, then softened with embarrassment. "Oh sweetheart, that's very kind, but we're okay." But the girl shook her head with a conviction far too mature for her age. "I want to. And my dad said it's okay." All eyes turned to the father. He nodded slowly. "Yes. Please. It would mean a lot to us." The mother hesitated, her face flushing. But when she looked at her children, who stared longingly at the food, she finally nodded with gratitude shimmering in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. They rearranged the tables together, combining them into one. The girl giggled as she helped the boys settle in, offering them fries and pieces of chicken. The father called the waiter and ordered more food, much more than necessary. The single mother tried to refuse, but he raised a hand gently. "Please," he said softly. "Let us do this." As everyone ate together, the tension melted into warmth. The boys laughed. The girl smiled. And the father, well, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, peace. A strange, unexpected peace. As the meal went on, he began noticing things he had been too blind to see before. The mother's hands were rough from labor. Her eyes held stories of struggle, yet also of determination. Every time her children laughed, she looked at them like they were the only blessing she had left in this world. It humbled him. More than money ever had. Finally, curiosity overcame him, and he asked, "Are you okay? I mean, really okay?" The mother hesitated, then answered honestly. She had lost her job 3 months ago. Rent was overdue. Meals like this were rare. Today she had brought her kids for a small treat, using what remained of her savings, planning to skip dinner herself. She didn't speak with bitterness, only sincerity. The girl listened with wide, emotional eyes. She reached over and held the woman's hand. "I'm glad we're here." Something in the father cracked open. He had spent so long believing success meant having more than others, but in this moment he realized true wealth meant giving, not keeping. And he saw his daughter differently now, not just as a child, but as the reminder of who he once hoped to be. After the meal, he quietly paid the family's bill, slipped an envelope on the table with enough money to help them survive the next few months, and said gently, "This isn't charity. It's a thank you, for reminding me what matters." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but no words came out. The children hugged him tightly. His daughter wrapped her arms around him too, whispering, "I'm proud of you, Dad." Those words struck deeper than any achievement he had ever earned. As they walked out of the restaurant, he held her hand, not loosely like before, but with intention. He knelt down in front of her and said, "You didn't just help them today, you helped me too." She smiled the sweetest smile he had ever seen. "Dad," she whispered, "sharing makes everything better." And he knew, without a doubt, that she was right. That day became the turning point of his life, the moment he finally understood that the greatest riches weren't found in bank accounts, but in compassion, kindness, and the courage to care.